the McDonald's that shouldn't exist. They say that every town has one, the place that locals don't talk about after dark. For me, it was the McDonald's that sat on the edge of town just past the highway. It looked ordinary enough during the day, a little run down but nothing unusual. But after midnight, it changed. The golden arches would glow faintly even when the lights inside were off. People swore they could see shadows moving in the windows long after the employees had gone home. Teenagers dared each other to go in, and some did, but not all of them came back the same. The first story I heard was from a delivery driver. He said he dropped off frozen supplies around 3 a.m. and saw someone waving at him from the front counter. He thought an employee had stayed late, but when he entered, the lights flickered on all at once, revealing an empty dining room. The figure he'd seen was still there, standing behind the counter, smiling at him. Its uniform was old, the design McDonald's had abandoned decades ago. And when he blinked, it was gone. Then there was the janitor who used to work night shifts. He told me he'd mopped the floors only to find wet footprints leading into the restroom, bare feet too large to belong to anyone human. Sometimes he'd hear heavy breathing inside the stalls. He quit after one night when the bathroom mirror fogged up on its own and the words "Get out" appeared across the glass. But the scariest story didn't come from a stranger. It came from my cousin. She was 17, reckless, and thought it would be funny to film herself exploring the restaurant after closing. She got inside by slipping through the back delivery door. Her phone recording still exists, though she refuses to watch it again. The video begins normal enough. She walks past the fryers, the empty soda machines, whispering jokes into the camera. But then the sound changes. At first it's faint, like the beeping of a microwave. Then it becomes clearer. A child's giggle echoing through the tiled halls. She called out, thinking another kid was there. Nobody answered. The camera shakes as she walks toward the play area, the indoor jungle gym long abandoned and covered in dust. The ball pit was drained years ago, just a hollow pit of cracked plastic. She leaned the camera over, laughing nervously. And then the laughter came again, from inside the pit. A shadow darted across the bottom. Too fast to be human. She gasped, whispering, "What the hell was that?" And that's when the camera froze, focusing on something moving in the corner. A pale hand, long and bony, with too many joints, dragging itself up the edge of the pit. My cousin screamed and ran, the video ending in static. She never set foot near that McDonald's again. For weeks after, she said she felt something was following her. She'd hear whispers at night, smell grease and fryer oil in her bedroom even though she lived miles away. And she wasn't the only one. Customers who ate there after midnight reported strange side effects. A man claimed the fries he ordered came out ice cold, dripping with grease that smelled rotten. Another swore the Big Mac he bit into was filled with raw meat, and when he looked up to complain, every employee behind the counter was staring at him in silence, their eyes black and hollow. One woman said she was the only person in line when she ordered, but when she turned around, the restaurant was suddenly filled with people. Their faces blurred like unfinished drawings. When she looked back at the counter, her food was waiting for her. She ran without taking it. They closed the place years ago, but some nights if you drive past, you'll still see the arches glow. Some say the drive-thru speakers still crackle with static, voices whispering orders no one should ever hear. If you think this is terrifying, you're nowhere near prepared for what comes next. Make sure you subscribe because this nightmare isn't over. It's just beginning. Because there's one story, one final tale, that none of the employees ever wanted to share. A story that explains why this McDonald's doesn't just feel haunted, it feels alive. And if you dare to know the truth, we'll step into it in Chapter 2. The entity behind the arches. The McDonald's was boarded up, the windows painted black, the sign cracked and leaning. But for those who dared to go closer, the truth was always waiting. The golden arches still pulsed faintly, a heartbeat in neon. It was said that back in the late 80s, before the place was shut down, employees began vanishing. At first, it was explained away, kids skipping work, quitting without notice. But managers whispered something else. The ones who disappeared all worked the closing shift. And all of them complained about the same thing, the play area. Parents reported their children getting sick after going inside, fevers that spiked overnight, nightmares that made them scream in their sleep. And when they woke, they always drew the same thing. Something long, pale, and smiling with teeth too sharp for a human mouth. One night, an assistant manager named Derek decided to lock the play area permanently. He bolted the doors, taped plastic over the windows, and told everyone to stay out. But the next morning, the doors were open, the bolts bent outward as if something had pushed from inside. And Derek was gone. The only thing left was his shoes, sitting neatly in front of the ball pit. After that, strange things bled into the rest of the restaurant. Fryers would bubble even when unplugged, oil hissing with voices. Burgers came out raw no matter how long they cooked, dripping red liquid that wasn't quite blood but wasn't grease either. Customers swore their names were called over the intercom, even when they hadn't ordered. The final straw came when a family went missing. Security footage showed them ordering at the counter, the father laughing as his kids tugged at his shirt. Then the footage cut to static. When it came back, the dining room was empty. Their food was gone. The only thing left was a child's shoe sitting in the middle of the floor. The franchise shut it down, boarded it up, and pretended it never existed. But locals knew better. They said the building didn't just rot, it breathed. Some nights, you could hear the fryers sizzling, the faint sound of children laughing. And then, there are the people who went inside. 2 ghost hunters live-streamed themselves exploring the place a few years back. The video was pulled down after a week, but I saw it before it vanished. They joked at first, making fun of the broken tables and graffiti. But then the camera panned to the menu boards. Every item was wrong. Instead of Big Macs and fries, the glowing letters read, meat, skin, bones. The hunters laughed nervously, assuming it was a prank. But then the drive-thru speaker crackled on, a voice whispering their names. Neither of them had said their names on camera. The stream turned chaotic. The camera shook, lights flickered, and you could hear something heavy dragging across the floor. One of the men screamed, and the camera fell sideways, giving a tilted view of the play area. In the dim light, something was climbing out of the ball pit. Long, skeletal arms, a face stretched into a smile that was far too wide. The other hunter shouted, "Run! Run!" The stream cut to black. Neither of them were ever seen again. But the building still stands, still waiting. And those who walk too close swear they feel it watching them. Not just from inside but from beneath. As if the entire restaurant isn't a place at all but a mouth, a feeding ground. And now you've heard the stories. Now you know the truth. Which means it knows you too. The entity behind that McDonald's has always fed on attention. Every laugh, every scream, every whisper keeps it alive. And by listening this far, by letting the story reach you, you've opened the door for it to follow. Do you feel it? The cold at the back of your neck? The faint smell of grease and blood in the air around you? That's not your imagination. That's it. Watching. Waiting. You're not alone anymore. And neither am I. If you dare to face what comes next, subscribe. You'll need it.